All right, beautiful, beautiful scenes. We are live. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Pitchside with Parker for yet another video. Today, we're doing Pitchside live, as you can surely see here. I'm on Instagram. Shout out to the people over there. I'm on YouTube. Shout out to the people over there. Already somebody in the building. If you're coming to the stream, be sure to hit that like button if you're over on YouTube. And if you're watching this later, definitely do the same thing. And hey, if you end up watching this later, you're watching it back and you're saying, dang, I didn't know about the live stream. I missed out. Hit those post notifications. Make sure you got them on, and then you'll know for sure every time we go live. But plenty to talk about in this video today. I didn't have a regular video come out on the channel today. So in addition to the Champions League, there's also some cool news topics that we can touch on as well. Namely, Yunus Musah choosing the US men's national team, which is awesome news. I was delighted yesterday when I heard about that news. So that is, of course, the thumbnail. You probably came here looking for some thoughts on that, and we'll certainly get into that as well. And then, yeah, just some other little news things I have written down, saved for later if we need a little extra time. But if people are coming in, feel free to leave your questions, your thoughts as well. I'm happy to talk about the Champions League. I know that the two games today were kind of, the favorites went through. It wasn't too tough for either of them, but Man City, they look like a favorite right now. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I guess as poor of a run as Gladbach are in right now, City will have looked at that game saying, we got to just lay it on them. This should be easy. We should waltz through to the quarterfinals. And that is what they did. But nonetheless, the way that they're playing right now, I think it's between them and Bayern Munich right now as favorites in the Champions League. And so the stage is set for Bayern to put on a show tomorrow and show that, they're still the holders and they've still kind of should be the favorites going forward. But you'd have to say those two are up there. And from a Gladbach standpoint, as I said, I mean, things are going so poorly for them. And I don't know. It's such a bad situation there with Marco Rosa already leaving, or not. Well, he hasn't left yet, but announcing that he would be going to Dortmund next season, but he's still in the job. They haven't fired him. They've lost 7 games in a row. The players don't seem to be particularly motivated. I mean, it's really a mess of a situation. And you get the sense that the players are starting to give up a little bit on the season. They're starting to give up a little bit on Rosa. And now that they're out, they lost in the Pokal last week, and then to be out of the Champions League now. And now they're, I think, in 10th in Bundesliga and pretty far off the top 4 to get Champions League for next season. So it's just all gone wrong there for Gladbach after a brilliant start to the season for them. D. Vic in the building. What's up, my man? He said definitely City and Bayern's cup to lose. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I would love to see them on opposite sides of the bracket, so that could be a potential final. But I mean, if they meet before then as well, then it would be awesome. But I think that was a matchup that a lot of us wanted to see last year as well before they got knocked out by Lyon early, did Manchester City. So, yeah, I agree with you, Daniel. City and Bayern, definitely. Although I have to say, like, if I had to pick between them, I'm still going with Bayern Munich. I know people are hot on the Man City train right now just because they've played so well recently, and I think just a lot of people watch Premier League more than Bundesliga, but I still believe in Bayern. I still think they're the best team in the world right now. And City, I mean, I think the one edge that City have is that they're a lot better this year defensively than they were last year. And Bayern have given up a few more goals this season, but I trust Bayern. And look, if y'all know me, if y'all have been on the channel for a while, I'm in that camp where I do have questions about Pep in the Champions League. I think he's a great manager. I think he's one of the best of all time. But that being said, I mean, the last few years of the Champions League speak for themselves. So, like Guardiola, I can't put all my chips in on him just yet. And it's not that, Bayern's manager is still pretty inexperienced as well, but to win the Champions League, I mean, basically in his first season with them, I would still give them the edge. Mom's in a live stream. What's good? Gosh, gotta love the support. But yeah, so probably enough about the City Gladbach game. I guess the other two notes on that game, I mean, as you can see on the board, I loved what Foden did in that game. his assist to Gundogan for the second goal. Just this guy is so good. And I don't know if I'm just starved because I'm an Arsenal fan and I don't watch midfielders that know how to take the ball on a half turn and make a good pass into space. But I really love Phil Foden, and I hope that he keeps getting opportunities, especially in the Champions League, because I think he could actually be really important to City going far in this competition. And then the De Bruyne goal as well. I mean, both goals in this game were sensational, but De Bruyne just cracking it with the left foot from outside the box. Crossbar down finishes, as I tweeted during the game. There's nothing quite like him. Just that feeling when it hits the bar and then it goes down into the net. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. But yeah, enough on that game. I mean, City really kind of walked them in that one. So we can talk a little bit about Real Madrid and Atalanta. Yeah, same case here, really. Like, I think Atalanta came in a little undermanned. They didn't start Zapata. They didn't start Ilicic, and Ilicic has missed a lot of time this season. And you could tell that they missed the creativity. I think like the emphasis was on them to go forward in this game and them to create. And they just didn't have it. They didn't have it today. I thought the midfield was absolutely bossed by Real Madrid. And I mean, credit to them. They were without Casemiro, and Modric really did a great job at that holding mid spot. But between him, Kroos, Valverde, like they just dominated that game, just knocking the ball around. Really simple to see him out of the tie. And they just pounced on mistakes. Like the mistakes that Atalanta made, you can't make those if you want to advance in the Champions League. So that goalkeeper, what is his name? Sportiello. Terrible pass out of the back, conceding the early goal. And that was what killed the game for them. Like they had one chance right at the beginning, and then it was sort of even. Madrid still hadn't really like totally taken control of the game yet. But when he gave away that goal, there was just no coming back for Atalanta. I think my favorite moment of this game was the Vinicius run that went through their entire team, and he had the chance to kind of originally get the goal that sealed the tie, and then he ran through about 3 defenders, ran about 60 yards, and then kicked the ball wide, and it was such a sad ending to that. But it was a fun bit of play. He was pretty lively on the day, but it was really like Vinicius in a nutshell. Pretty disappointing from him in the end. But then he won a penalty a couple minutes later. Ramos converted it, and I mean that was that more or less. Muriel scored a free kick later on, but yeah, nothing really for Atalanta to get back into that game. Vic said, typical Vinicius. Yeah, exactly, man. It just like you got the sense when you looked at him that he just lost his head a little bit at the end. Like you do all of that. Why are you trying to hit it with the outside of your boot past the goalkeeper? Like there was about 4 different type of finishes he could have done instead of that would have worked better. And he had to do the most difficult thing possible, and he had to make it even more crazy than the run already was. Like, bro, you already did the hard work. You already made this into a highlight reel moment. You don't need to do anything crazy. Just tap it in. Like, Sportiello was stranded. He wasn't doing anything for that. Just put it on frame, bro. But yeah, I can only imagine being a Madrid fan how infuriating it must be to watch Vinicius, because I mean, clearly he's got so much talent, but it's just the finishing and the final decision sometimes is highly questionable. You could see why Benzema earlier in the season was telling Mendy not to pass to him. Like when you see finishes like that, you understand. And it happened in this game too. In the first half, he actually had a great 1-2 with Benzema, and then Benzema actually did find him for the cutback, and the keeper was gone, and his first touch was just bad, and it got blocked by the defender. So yeah, he was busy as usual, causing problems, but not finishing off his dinner. So typical Vinicius. But Real Madrid did get the job done. 3-1 win on the night, 4-1 on aggregate, and they will be on to the to the quarterfinals rather. First time in a while they've made it there. It's been a few years for the Champions League giants that are Real Madrid, but getting it done. Vic said reminds me of Dembouz. Yeah, Dembele can be like that a little bit at times as well. And I think they have the similar thing where it's like, it's almost just like a little bit of head loss in that final moment. Like, you had so much composure the whole rest of the play. Where did it go when you saw the net? I don't know. But yes, anyway, let's move on to Yunus Musah. And this will be a good topic of conversation. I wanted to make a video on this separately, but I just didn't have the time last night after the news broke. So I figured I would just save it for this live stream. But bro, I'm gassed. First of all, like, this is great news. And this is a huge step in the right direction for USA being able to sway a dual national onto this project that US men's national team has going on. And that was what he said in the video. You know, he used the words that it's a brotherhood, this team that the US is building. And he said that the friendship and just talking to, you know, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, all of them, that helped him make his decision. And so to me, that is a really positive thing. Like, the vibes are good, the atmosphere is good. And even just on a baseline, to be able to say that about the men's national team is a great thing, because that, I'm not saying that previously, you know, the vibes have been bad, but just to have that among one of the first things you would say about the team, that's definitely something you couldn't say before with this team. So, yeah, Yunus Musah, and then obviously just the quality that he brings on the field is exciting, of course, because he's got the technical ability. He can play multiple positions. He can play wide on the right. He can play center mid, kind of box to box mostly, but he could also, I think, play in an attacking mid role as well. But, you know, that area will probably be pretty full for the US. So I would expect him to play a little bit of right mid. He played center mid in the 2 friendlies where he has actually appeared for the US national team. He was more of a box-to-box midfielder. I thought he did really well in that role. I think he probably plays better in that role based on what I've seen from him. But at the same time, again, a lot of bodies in the midfield, a lot of young players in the midfield as well for the US. So I'll be curious to see where his position ends up and where Greg Berhalter chooses to use him. But I would have to guess that there's been a conversation with Berhalter, in addition to him, you know, obviously talking to his friends and talking to the other guys on the team, the young guys. I bet he's had a conversation with the coach too, and kind of said, okay, like, if I do pick the USA, what position am I going to be able to play? And I'm not totally sure what his preferred position is, but again, I see him as a center mid, and I think he could bring a lot to the team in that regard. And just because there's other players at center mid doesn't mean that he shouldn't play there. Like, having depth is a good thing. This is a problem that USA has not really had before. Like, it's not just about finding a first 11. You know, if US really have high expectations, and I mean, even just making it through World Cup qualifying, which, let's not forget, didn't happen last time, you need depth and you need rotational pieces. And so even if he's not playing every single game, but he's a center mid option, you know, maybe that's better than playing him out of position if that's where he does indeed prefer to play. Yeah, I mean, the other part of me that's really excited about this is that, like, I'm an Arsenal fan, and seeing somebody from the Arsenal Academy on the U.S. national team, that might have to be one of the first jerseys that I purchase. I don't think I have a U.S. national team kit right now, so I would be tempted to pick up a Yunus Musah shirt. But yeah, definitely, you know, let me know what y'all's reactions to that is as well, because I mean, I hope everybody else is excited as me. Where do you see his position, though, as well? Because, like I said, he can play out wide. He can play center mid. I think it could open up some really interesting options in terms of the U.S. using, like, multiple attacking midfielders and playing them out wide, like kind of having, like, 3 or 4 attacking midfielders on the field at the same time, or 3 or 4 center mids anyway, and just letting them interchange and move around a lot. And that was kind of what we saw in some of the friendlies. But I think it's something that works better when you know you're going to have the ball, which, you know, certainly isn't going to be the case every time for the U.S. But in games like Gold Cup, in qualifying, all that type of stuff, especially when you're playing smaller teams and you know you're going to have the ball, that could be a really useful option for them to have. So maybe putting him, McKennie, Reyna, Adams all out on the field at the same time, pretty exciting if you ask me. And beyond that, like, I think they'll have the link up. Like, it seems like they have they're really on the same page when they play together. That was one thing I noticed during the friendlies, and I think it shows as well in the decision that he's made and in him saying that those guys were influential in him picking the U.S. I have a very good feeling about how this is going to work out. Aiden's out here. He says, I can see him at center mid with freedom to interchange out wide when in possession. Yeah, I think that's a great shout. You know, Aiden, you certainly know your stuff. So, yeah, I hear it definitely. And that's what I mean. I think if you put all those different guys who, you know, theoretically are more of a center midfielder, if you put them all out there, I think they will find those positions. Reyna is really good at that as well. So, again, I think that you get those guys all playing in the same team, training together, they're going to figure that out. And I think there's going to be, to a certain extent, you can just put them all on the field and let them do their thing because they're all so talented. And because they've all grown up more in Europe and in that academy system, like they all kind of have this similar shared identity, if you will. And even like thinking about Serginho Dest, like if he is combining up on the right side and he's coming forward, he's an option that's out wide. He can come inside and tuck in. He can overlap. Just all the different combinations that are coming around. And then obviously the big question remains, you know, who is up front and who is adding to those combinations as well, because having a great center midfield is one thing, but you know, you certainly have to have the pieces around it too. So yeah, but I agree, Aiden, for sure. Vic, what are you saying? This is the first time in my life being excited to watch the U.S. national team. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, in general, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I wouldn't say it's the first time I've been excited, but it's definitely the most excited that I've been. And certainly in quite a while, that's for sure. I think I had a real turn-off moment whenever the U.S. missed the last World Cup. Like, I was just disappointed and I hadn't been keeping close tabs on it. I just kind of assumed they would make it through the qualifying, and to see them go out and not even make the World Cup, like that was so like disillusioning to me. I was just like, oh man, like this is just so dead, like having to support this as the national team. But yeah, I agree, Vic, like having all these young players to get excited about and the way that they play, I mean, it's exciting. Might have to play Pulisic at false 9. We don't have a striker. Yeah. I don't know if he's built for that, to be completely honest. But maybe. I mean, I think there's enough striker options. I think it's just about figuring out which one works best. And to me, that's going to be a process. Like, I don't think you can just go based on who's performing the best at the moment, whether it be in MLS or in Europe. You know, Josh Sargent has been decent recently, but Daryl Dike has been awesome since he's moved to Barnsley. You know, there's a few different guys, but I think it'll be similar to what I said about those players finding that link up together. And it might take a few national team camps to figure out which striker works best. I still think Altidore could be an answer for the U.S., at least in the short term. I feel like he could play pretty well as just being like, in a sense, kind of just like a wall to bounce the ball off of between those guys, and him just, you know, standing up, holding off defenders, and obviously like being an option in the box as well. But yeah, I'm not as like pressed to figure out the answer to that as I think a lot of U.S. national team fans are, because I think it'll just take a little bit of time. But I think over time, one or two strikers will kind of start to rise above the rest in that regard. But I don't know about Pulisic, man. he hasn't been great for Chelsea recently, has he? But I haven't seen him play much in a more of a central role or like false 9. So yeah, but it's definitely an interesting shout. Shout out to everybody in the streams, IG, YouTube. If you're on IG, definitely head over to the YouTube if you're not already subscribed. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to like the stream. That makes a big difference to me and to the channel. And like I said, if you're watching this later and you're like, dang, I missed the stream, what happened? Turn on those post notifications. You won't miss it next time. So But anyway, that was a good chat about Yunus Musah. Again, very exciting news, and he's chosen the U.S. national team, and yeah, man, just exciting times. I did have a couple other kind of little headlines and stuff to touch on in this video before I got out of here. Unless anybody else wants to bring up topics, feel free to always put those in the live chat. Hector's in the stream. What's up, bro? But some interesting news today that apparently the Belgian league and the Eredivisie, which is in Netherlands, decided that they're going to opt to try to make a joint league between those two teams. And as we were talking about, Yunus Musah and U.S. national team, there's a few players for the U.S. that are playing in both of those leagues, actually. So that could be a really interesting thing going forward to kind of be one of those first steps in like a European Super League type of setup going on, because two smaller leagues, essentially, the idea here is that when their TV broadcast contracts run out, that they would just combine and try to get one like mega contract. And I mean, really the only reason you could suggest for that is more money. So this feels like the type of thing that, if other leagues see that and think, hey, maybe we could combine, like it would have to be geographical, but maybe like La Liga and Liga NOS in Portugal. What if they combined and created a super league? And then you keep scaling that, and then you think, okay, well, the European Super League could replace the Champions League before too long, really. That would be scheduled to happen like a couple years down the line because they still have some time left on their TV contract. But I thought that was an interesting piece of news that came out today. And the other thing I had written down as well is I wanted to touch a little bit more on the whole Arsenal situation as well with Aubameyang from the North London derby. I talked about it a little bit in my match review, but like different stuff has come on since then. And, I make the match reviews like right after the game. So I've had some time to think about it now and see the extra stuff that's come out. And so I did want to speak about that a little bit too. Again, be sure to leave any topics you want me to cover in the comments. But this was something I had written down. So apparently Aubameyang, in addition to being late before the game, he also left the Emirates without warming, like doing like a cool down with his teammates, and without like he just left early. Basically, he was mad. And man, I just think this is such a poor response from Aubameyang. Like this is so childish, and like I expected better from him. I really did. I feel that the sanctity of the captain's role has really been lost at Arsenal. There's been so many different players who have had the armband the past couple of years, and it really doesn't feel like any of them have taken it seriously. And part of that is on the manager for just continually handing it around and like giving it to Xhaka after he's told the fans to F off, and giving it to Aubameyang when he's not much of a leader on the field other than being like the best player last season. And just, some of the guys that get the armband, it's just so questionable. I think if I remember right, Mustafi wore it at some point in the Europa League this year. Like Mustafi, of all people. Vic said, yeah, he looks so salty and he hasn't apologized. No, he hasn't. I mean, maybe he has to the team. Like, that's obviously something that we wouldn't necessarily know. And also says a lot about the way that the news works, where if he had apologized to the team, that news wouldn't have leaked yet. But the fact that he walked out on everybody after the game, that's what leaked, of course. But yeah, I'm disappointed. I think there should have been more of like a public apology at this point. He did look very salty. That's for sure. He wanted to be playing in that game, but that actually moves me on very well to the point that I did kind of want to make here, bigger picture with Arsenal as an Arsenal fan, and especially as it relates to Mikel Arteta, is that I think he's set a really good example here, actually, because it takes some cojones to leave out Aubameyang, of all people, in the North London derby, in one of the biggest games of the season. I was shocked. Like, honestly, I really was, because I've been in situations on teams that I've been on where the coach might say he's going to leave the best player out and then he doesn't. Uh, it's a harder thing to do than it seems. And so for him to actually leave him out and do it on match day right before the game, to the point where he had to actually call someone up from the bench who wasn't prepared to play. And I think that was Smith Rowe, I would assume. And credit to him for coming on and having a fantastic game, even getting that news late. But yeah, it takes a lot of cojones to do that. And so I think he set a really good example, because looking at how salty Aubameyang was when he was sitting on the side and wishing that he could have been in that game playing, hopefully scoring against Spurs, I think it sets a great example, because if any of the younger players have missed a meeting here or there, or, even like Guendouzi on loan, imagine he was watching the North London derby and he said, all right, well, clearly this guy's not messing around, Arteta. And Arteta won the game as well. So he's put his money where his mouth is. And he said, look, we got the players to do this without you. So if you want to act the fool, well, I'm going to leave you out and I'm going to make a point of it. And I actually think that that's a really good thing for Arsenal, because there's been a serious lack of discipline over the years, especially recently. And it's been a problem under Emery. It was a problem under Arteta. And the one thing you can say about Arteta, he hasn't handled everything super consistently in terms of like a player-by-player basis. But when he sets a line, he sets a line. And he's done that pretty well. So, I mean, he's a disciplinarian for sure. But the results are coming with it. And that's where I can be happy about it. Because if you're just like telling people to leave and icing out players for no reason and there's no results, then that's another conversation. But looking at some of his stats, I saw a stat, I think I pulled it up today. And so against the top 6 sides, Arteta's played 19 games and he's won 9. And the previous 19 games before Arteta, we only won 3 out of 19. So that's a huge difference. And this was another one of those games. He's now beaten all of the other top 6 in the Prem. And so to me, that's a step in the right direction. And setting this type of standard and this behavior, that goes a long way in setting it straight for Arsenal. So as I've sat with it a little bit more, I'm really happy with his decision. And I hope that Aubameyang responds well. This is what I'm worried about now, is that, if Aubameyang gets mad and he holds a grudge against Arteta, and then, maybe Lacazette gets mad because his bro Aubameyang is mad, and then Saka's like, oh my, these guys are mad. Now I have to take sides here. That's where things could get a little ugly. So I hope that Aubameyang just mans up and apologizes, like you said, Vic, and I hope that we can kind of put this behind us, because to me, he's handled it well and he's made the right decision, Arteta. And so I would like to see a response there. But yes, indeed, that covers the Arsenal topic, probably more than y'all cared to hear. But look, that's what I care about. So this is what we're talking about. Yeah, that's covered most of everything that I have. More Champions League tomorrow. I mean, the first match day, these 2 games, Bayern Lazio and Chelsea Atletico, this was kind of the most boring set of games the first match day. So I feel like there's potential to be a little disappointed tomorrow if you're looking forward to those games. Theoretically, Chelsea Atletico should be good. Atleti gave up the 1-0 at home, so they will have to chase goals in this game. They'll need at least 2 goals tomorrow. So hopefully they come out and actually attack. Hopefully we see the likes of Felix, Suarez, Carrasco kind of all in the lineup together. Correa, but who knows with Simeone, man. In the Champions League, it's hard to predict. And it'll be interesting to see Chelsea with a lead as well, and see how they're able to cope with that. Tuchel, obviously in the Champions League, has had a poor history of keeping leads. He did all right last year with PSG, to be fair to him, but previous to that, he had some collapses. So and Simeone has been known for a comeback. So that one should be interesting, but at the same time, it's like just the way that these 2 teams play, I'm not convinced. And the first game was so boring. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think Bayern, I mean, that tie's got to be done, right? I don't think there's any way Lazio comes back in that one. But yeah, those will be the 2 games tomorrow. And I don't think I will have a video tomorrow or a stream. I will have work, unfortunately, going on through the Champions League. So yeah, it'll be a busy day for me tomorrow. But I did want to at least touch on those briefly. Again, shout out to everybody, man, who came through the stream. I really, really appreciate it. And drop a like on the stream as well. It will help me out, helps the channel out. And you know, it just keeps giving me that motivation. You know, I've been doing the daily content, and boy, it's exhausting, it's tiring, but the stuff that keeps me going is seeing, you know, positive comments and seeing people appreciate the content, appreciate the videos. So yeah, even just hitting that like button, it makes a big difference. Make a habit of it, and do it every video, and you know, I will keep pumping out the content. So yeah, I think that's going to be just about it for this stream. I'll give it about 20-30 seconds if anybody wants to drop in a last comment before we go at the buzzer. Little stoppage time finish, if you will. And I'll just chill here for a sec. But other than that, probably about to head out. So your last chance, people. All right, not seeing anything come through. So I'm going to assume that that's going to be it. Yeah, again, thanks everybody for checking it out. If you're watching this later, appreciate it. Be sure to turn on those post notifications so you don't miss it next time. And yeah, I will catch y'all in the next video. But for now, I'm out. Peace.